Meet the doctor suing the CDC.
Study was on every baby born into my practice,
Okay.
so not the whole practice.
Okay.
I wanted a nice, clean sample. You start at birth, and then you look at the difference in all health outcomes, which
Yep.
they never study that. The CDC should, but they never do. Look at all health outcomes comparing vaccinated, and in my case, they were verily vaccinated, not CDC vaccinated,
Okay.
to completely unvaccinated, and see the difference. And we published that study, and within days of that study being published, and I see it on your screen, you're seeing the title of that study. Within days, I lost my license. I got a phone call from my attorney. He said, Paul, don't go into the office. Don't call any patients. Don't write any prescriptions. Your license has been emergently suspended. And I said, why? He says, well, they had an emergency meeting, and you are a threat to public health.
For doing science, for saying, hey, I see
a problem.
I'm just showing you the data.
Right.
I have a very large practice. I can show you
Right.
the kids. I can show you all that data.
Yep.
And it's saying what it's saying, and that makes me dangerous.
Right.
Here's some of the data, just so all of you can see it. I mean, look at this. You've got asthma. Look, the red line is those that are vaccinated. The blue line that are unvaccinated. Allergic rhinitis. I mean, they're all through the roof. Breathing issues. ADHD. Look at that. I mean, it's almost completely a vaccine injury. Respiratory infections. Ear pain. Eye disorders. Eczema. Something that our poor kids. And by the way, eczema. My understanding is eczema used to be considered a vaccine injury, really. Like, if they started getting a rash, it would be like, don't vaccinate.
Don't vaccinate. Yeah, you go back 40 years and 50 years ago, that's absolutely true. We have since been trained, pediatricians today are trained that eczema has nothing to do with vaccines.
That's crazy.
And in fact, all these things that have shown with statistical significance in a very well done peer-reviewed study that these are directly related, right? So we have three major categories of injury. We have the allergic, which is your eczema, your allergies, your asthma. We have neurodevelopment, so language, speech, behavior issues, autism, ADD, ADHD. There was no ADD or ADHD in the unvaxxed. Zero.
He published those in a report, and his medical license was revoked days later. Why? Because he had a potential bias, because he knew which patients were vaccinated and which patients were unvaccinated, and so therefore could diagnose them according to his own bias. And you know what? Fair enough. That's science. It's pretty rigorous. But what he's saying is, the reason I'm doing this is because the CDC should be doing this trial, and you're not. And how do they reward him? They remove his medical license. I do wonder if his results had proven that the vaccinated kids were incredibly so much more healthy. I wonder if his license would have been revoked. So his study was thrown out for potential bias. But you're telling me that in all the decades of vaccine safety studies, there's been no bias present whatsoever by those conducting the studies, and that maybe that's why there's 1,500 pharmaceutical lobbyists in Washington, D.C., making sure that there's no bias present when they're conducting these studies.